The following program has been rated GE by the Kenya Film Classification Board. It is therefore suitable for general family viewing.
Hello viewer, welcome to Chungu cha Jamii. My name is Betty Akuku. I am your host today and I'm so excited that you are here watching this episode. This month we're going to be discussing a very interesting topic. And what is this? The boy child. I know for sure you don't want to miss even a single of these discussions. Today I am joined by a lady and a gentleman who are going to be introducing themselves to us shortly. But before that, we want to know for real and for true, where is the boy child? Welcome, lady and gentlemen. Please introduce yourself to my guest.
Hello, viewers. My name is Rosemary Modoni Kinuthia. I'm the founder and director, African Boy Child Network, which is a non-profit, non-government organization that spearheads sustainable transformation of the boy child.
Okay. Welcome, Rosemary.
Thank you.
Good to have you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
My name is Gary Mwangi, team lead at an organization called Fariji, and we engage the growing youth, especially the boys, using sports within the community.
Okay. Welcome, Rosemary. Good to have you on the show today.
Thank you.
So we're talking about the boy child. And I will start with you, Rosemary. Where is he?
I think the boy child is everywhere.
Everywhere. Okay.
He's everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
If you look around, you'll find him in prison, where about 95%
Mm-hmm.
are in
95%
of the occupancy.
Uh-huh.
You'll find them in the streets,
Uh-huh.
street kids. I think every 10 kids you find on the street, you'll find 8 are boys.
Mm-hmm.
You'll find them doing drugs.
Mm-hmm.
You'll find them in the matatu terminus.
What? Okay.
You'll find them in their houses,
Mm-hmm.
waiting for their moms and dads,
Mm-hmm.
for the virtue that there are no opportunities for them. You'll find them in the evening, strategizing on how to indulge in crime because there are no opportunities for them. They're all over.
They're all over.
Wow.
Carrier. Kijana ako wapi?
Kijana, just to add to what Rosemary has said, we have 10 government licensed approved schools in Kenya. 8 are for boys, 2 are for girls. now wanasema they're overflowing, so that's why part of the boys are there.
Mm-hmm.
We also have boys in psychiatry through mental health, through depression.
Mm-hmm.
And the truth is, wanasema part of the statistics ni 70% of the suicide cases are boys and men.
Boys and men.
Yes,
What's
70,
happening?
30.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
Some of the men, boys/men, sadly we have lost them through to COVID. Again, 78% of the actual deaths were actually boys than whatever. So we have had that. We have also lost some of the men to the blue pill, which is a conversation which I'm very sad and teary talking about. We have lost some of our dear men. I'm sure we'll be talking more when we go to the men's conference later in the month. So that's where the boys are. We also have
COVID and blue pill
also taken. We also have a lot of some of the boys are in salons. The kababa generation, wale wanatengeneza nywele to be whatever.
Doing their hair or doing ladies' hair?
Doing their hair and their toes up even the base, kubangaiza. In the base, so we find them in salons. Yeah, so we have the kababa generations. Yeah, so that's where the boys are.
Rosemary, what led you into starting this organization?
I think growing up, I've spent a lot of my time with my dad.
Okay.
And my 2 brothers. I'm the last one. So you can imagine a house where you have your dad and your 2 brothers, and probably you see your mom maybe 3 times in a year when you close school.
What?
So, and that was Eastlands, you can imagine. So I think for me, as I grew up, I knew the importance of having these people in my life. They made me see things differently, react to things differently. And when I grew up and I got a job, of course, my dad was aging. And because we had been very close, we became best of friends. So a lot of times he would really tell me a lot of things that men go through and what even after retirement he was going through. So it took about maybe 15 years for it to sink. And I could tell from what he was doing, from his friends, because I also got to know a lot of his friends. And you'll find me in the midst of people of 60 years and I'm just there in the middle. If my dad would slaughter a goat and you'd call his friends, he would make sure that I'm in there among them. So I could hear a lot of things. And unfortunately, 2016, he passed on. And that day we were burying him, I decided I will drop each and everything I was doing and start a non-profit for boy child. And that's how it started.
So why the boy child? You were supposed to think about maybe the girl child because you are a girl, your mom was absent, and you grew up with your father and your brothers and you sold, they were sorted. What pains, were there some pains, some gap and lackings that you wanted to fill up by using the death of your dad or having grown up with just the boys?
I think for me, I felt that I came out fine. I came out with a lot of confidence. I came out, I'm very outspoken. I am very open to change. I'm extremely flexible, extremely flexible. I can change anytime. And I felt that the modern society we have less men or fathers who are involved in their children's life. And I also acknowledge the fact that as guys, I wouldn't want to think that I'm not empowered. But I also realize that as women are growing and getting married or getting children, there's an element of independence. And the kind of independence that the society perceives is I'm independent in terms of I have a job, I have a car, I have my own house, I do not need a man. Forgetting that your children need their father. Forgetting the fact that you are happy the way you are does not mean your children are happy. It is not about you.
So people are really selfish.
People are extremely selfish. And just like how you started with this particular session, where is the boy child? You understand? Remember, it is a continuation. You cannot have a man without a boy. They say, take care of the boy child and the man will emerge.
True.
You understand?
Yeah.
So if we do not have that fatherly feeling as we grow up, with time it comes out. And that is why you are seeing a lot of boys are becoming sissies because they don't even understand what being a man is because they have no access to one.
You know, this month we are going to basically feature just the boy child until the time we get to presenting man enough to the society. But as we start, we really want to know where is the boy child, because the society has such a negative perception about the boy child, and not because it is want to. It is what the boy child has not proven. You know, we do not have fathers who are rising up to the task and taking responsibility as dads. A lot of men just know, you know, when you get to the house and when you marry, if you can sire children, I mean, that's all. There's a lot of women empowerment ongoing, you know, and the woman knows when I get married, this and that and the other is expected of me, you know. But the boy child, he's just there. And I'm wondering, where is he? Even in the family, he is absent. So I like the answers you guys gave me. Kiare said, Kababa akosala.
Yeah.
You know, this is not the usual place that we expect the boy child to be in.
And also, just to add, for the longest time, actually the last 10, 15 years, a lot of the boys have been taken to boarding schools, ostensibly for discipline. Unasikianga a parent, kijana kifika study 8, anasemanga, kijana yangu nampeleka boarding, discipline. Girls are taken to boarding schools for mentorship. Those are the early stages of the disconnect. Number two, for the long time now, there is something out there in Etongo, the 3 R's. Retrenchment, retirement, redundancy. I repeat, retirement, retrenchment, redundancy. Those 3, they have affected more men, more boys than women. You know, they're being retrenchment.
Yeah.
And one of the things that has come out from the 3 R's is a lot of men have passed on 3 years after retirement. A guy retires, goes back village, then suddenly discovered he didn't invest in his family. He was for the longest. That's one. 2, a lot of boys growing up in such homes, they are growing up with absentee fathers. Yuko lakini hayuko. Why? Because parents PTA, wakati wa parents meeting, bibi wanambia mama, enda angalia kijana yako anafanya nini. That's one. 2, during discipline issues, not even from home, from school, a lot of the time it is women who have gone
To school.
to school. Some even during expulsion, like being expelled from this school, expelled to the other. It's women who have handled. So the boy grows seeing the disconnect there. Then later on in life, we are unable to get back the boy to get back to that what the God created, the Genesis, that the man is the head of the family. Number 3, culture. A lot of the cultural changes within the new generation. I spoke about Kababa generation. It is the first time you're laughing, saying that there are more men not working in salon, but going to salon for what they call me time. Unasikianga kijana anasema mtaani, mimi nenda kutengenezwa makucha na nywele. Me time yangu, that's my me time. Our fathers, the people older, the me time was when in my tribe, where we come from in our French, we say daddy korona kamuuda. And he meant kuangalia kashamba. And that is where our parents, our fathers used to gang up and say, Baba fulani, there's some property. That's a disconnect there already.
I wonder when that happened, if that's what your parents used to do, but now the boy child anapatikana salon, me time. Rosemary, do you encounter such things in your line of practice?
I think for me, I would want to be extremely practical. And I'll tell you why I say that. There's something that you said about men not taking responsibility. That the boy child is where he is at because the men have refused to take responsibility. The question we should ask ourselves is why? Why have the men refused to take responsibility? We have evidence they used to.
They used to.
We have evidence they
during
used to.
our days.
Exactly.
Our fathers.
The question should be why? And what makes the society feel it is the responsibility of the man to take care of the boy child? It is the responsibility of parents to take care of their children. You understand? And I will tell you this, that things have changed. A lot of things have changed. And the settings are no longer the same. What the society expected of women has changed.
Yeah.
You understand?
True.
I can be a leader, I can be a mechanic, I can be a plumber, I can be a president. The society has changed the way they perceived women. Then the question would be, why has the society not changed of what they think of the boy child? You understand? You still expect the man to be the head of the house. You still expect the man to be responsible. You understand?
You know, this is natural.
No.
This is natural because growing up, Rosemary, when we were growing up, and I agree, I think Kiara would agree with me, the fathers then knew it was their role. It was their given responsibility to be the ones who provide, to be the ones who protect, to be the ones who take care of their homes. The women then would only settle in the home. Yours was to get married and you were just a homemaker. Food was to be brought and you prepare and serve.
Exactly.
You know,
what
that
you just
was
said
the women's role.
Yes.
Until
now,
technology and...
Of course, now,
Yes.
just go back to what you just said. Women and men had their defined roles.
Exactly.
Today, those roles have changed, especially for women. That I do not have to wait for my husband to bring me food.
No.
That I do not have to wait for my husband to buy me a car. I do not have to wait for my husband to give me a permission to go out.
Do you know why these things have changed, Rosemary? Kiari, you should tell us, where did the dealing start? Because that is what men were doing and that is what they were supposed to do. But somebody went and slept, and now mentoring of the boy child just stopped. And so, because they don't see their fathers do that anymore, so now they follow their mothers to the salon.
Partly, let me just say.
Why are we finding the boy child in the prison? You mentioned the boy child is a tout. The boy child is in the streets, you know. You said in the statistics that I heard you guys mention, out of 10 in the streets, there are 8 boys, right? A lot of the touts that we have are the boy child. 95% you mentioned in our prisons are the boy child. Yes. How come they ended up here?
Okay, 3 things. 3, actually 4.
Yes.
1, joint admission board, university and college. At some point, it was okay to admit girls who scored C+, but retained B- for the boys. I know you're laughing because you know it's true. That's one. Okay? So the small disconnects started, there were small disconnects. One of them started there. Number 2.
Who caused?
Number 2. Number 2, the government structure.
Yes.
We had, in fact, during the former President Kibaki to the government in power, we have had access to youth funding. Youth, in this sense, referred to both boys and girls.
Exactly.
But but in the English sense of that word, the funding has gone to, when you talk about youth, women, and people living with disability,
Yes.
the youth here refers to?
Both boys and girls.
Ideally, it should refer to?
And disability also is both gender.
Both gender.
It's only women that stand out
Thank
on
you.
their own, yes.
Now, unfortunately, it has come out that the youth, when you talk about the youth, the word women comes there. So you find the disconnect. It starts. Those are the small disconnect areas. Number 3, we have had banking institutions in Kenya. They have had tailor-made products for women. I won't mention the banks by name, but there was one with a Diva account. You even have apps for a mobile provider. I know you're smiling because you have used it. It's specifically for women. So perhaps those small disconnects of this gender fits here. When the government comes with a program like Kazi Mtaani, it is something for the youth of Kenya. But the way it is marketed out here, it leans towards gender, male.
I mean, but the man is a strong one, and those kinds of
That is what Rosemary is saying.
really technical.
Let me say this. We do not live in a vacuum.
No.
We don't. We are guided by laws and policies, and we attach culture into it. You understand?
True.
If make sure the environment your son lives in is conducive enough, don't expect miracles. Do not expect miracles.
Don't expect serikali.
No, don't expect miracles. If you live in an environment, if you are locked here for 10 years, then you come out. I should not expect miracle that you're going to behave like me who's been out. It is black and white scenario.
True.
I will tell you this, and I want to really emphasize what Kerry is saying. With time, a lot of things have been put in place. The society has chosen what to accept and what not to accept. We have chosen to accept women can do anything. But we have refused to accept that the boy child, the status he used to have, has changed. The ground has changed. We are still hanging on that a woman who is so empowered, driving big engines, having flats, has the audacity to say, I left my husband in the house ati anasema hana kazi. You understand? I fail to understand why we feel that me, who is driving a big range and having a flat, are more vulnerable than a tout on the road.
What has made it to be that way? Isn't it the man who is refusing to let go of his ego?
No. I've told you, this has nothing. And I'll tell you, when you talk about ego, you're talking about perception, the culture, where men felt, I'm in charge. You remember? If I feel, if that culture has accepted me to change, why is it still hanging on that career should provide? You understand? You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we are being, what I say, and I'll say this live, we are never genuine when we talk about equality and equity. Because when you talk about equality and equity, vulnerability is not something designed for women and girls. Vulnerability means that unakashida so that you need to be lifted dogo. So I don't understand why I should have my own house and billions of investment, and because of the virtue that I'm a woman, I'm more vulnerable than Kiari.
Kiari, what is wrong with the boy child then?
The boy child, one.
Because if society has changed the perception and view on the girl, the same should actually happen to the boy. What is wrong with the boy child that people are not changing?
No, one. When there was a lot of economic empowerment to the girl, we actually started hearing of the word girl child before we had boy child.
True.
Huh? We started hearing of Kilimani moms.
Yes.
I'm yet to hear of Kilimani dads.
You're yet to hear.
Yeah, I'm yet to hear. Okay? Right now we are struggling with the blue pill, which we're going to address in the men's conference session 2 in coming weeks. The reason being very simple. And Rosemary has mentioned quite a bit. We have had that sexuality, that equity thing, that a woman is vulnerable. A man is strong. A man is the provider.
Yes.
So the 3 R's I mentioned to you, once it happens to a woman, the first thing women say is, after all, the husband is still working. I mean, no, that's what it is. So me have been declared redundant as Rosemary has been declared redundant as a woman, but she says, since she's married to Kiari and Kiari is working, tutavumiliana. The reverse of that is not always true. Is unbearable. It's what Rosemary is saying. It's actually what Rosemary is talking about. Number 2, we have had the issues of sexual, gender-based violence.
Yes.
But do you know, before that, it was sexual violence. In fact, the law, the Njokindongo bill was Sexual Violence Act 206. When did it come to be gender-based violence? It is because it was realized actually even men are victims of gender-based violence. So again to Rosemary, I'm on the vulnerability point. For the longest time we have had women are the vulnerable ones.
Yes.
Women should not go out at night. Okay?
Yes.
Women should not drive on certain roads. And you see, it is raining. I'm out on a date with Rosemary. How she did carry her sweater or jacket.
You should take off yours and
I should
cover
take
her.
off mine.
Yes.
Take her here. We deal with pneumonia na mimi baadaye. But she's vulnerable. Well,
Rosemary, what is wrong with that? Think about nature and how God made the man and the woman. You know, all these things started with God. What was the original version of the man? Before we sit here and say it has been distorted and expect society, you know, to go slow on certain things.
Let me say this. We cannot choose to equalize what is best for us, it will not be fair. You understand? Whatever you talked about God's creation was very straightforward. You understand? And actually they say it's God, then your husband, it goes like that.
Yes.
That's how it is. And that is how it had been
At
for
least
a very
there is
long
an
time.
order.
There is an order.
Yes.
But tell me, this is what happened. When people went to Beijing, things started taking a different turn.
Yes.
And I will go back to what I said. We do not live in a vacuum. We live within laws and policies and stuff like that. So if you take a document that is supposed to be public document, that is supposed to govern the citizens, and manipulate that particular document to favor one gender, it therefore means it is just a matter of time that the gender that was discriminated to start feeling the effect. Right now, those effects is what we are feeling right now. And let me tell you something, we live in a cycle. You understand? The fact that I'm empowered and my brother or my neighbor's son is being discriminated or suppressed by the virtue of manipulating laws and policies to favor one gender is just a matter of time. They will hit back. I'll tell you what, Kerry has mentioned about the grades to the university. Every time you look at the paper, women are encouraged to apply. You understand?
True.
I will tell you a practical example right now. Every time you listen to radio, and I'm sure even you guys do it, there is affirmative action that all pregnant girls should go to school.
Yes.
Have you had affirmative action that all boys in the streets should go back to school? Have you had? No, let's talk. Have you had affirmative action that all boda kids who've should go to school? Have you had? Have you had? I keep talking about my boys in my neighborhood are doing drugs and they've refused to go to school. Have you had affirmative action on that?
Rosemary, who should stand and fight for the boy?
Let me tell you something. The boy belongs to this society.
True.
Just like the girl.
Exactly.
Wakikuwa nasemanga, and allow me to say this, hakuna watumbo na wa mgongo. The fact that the government can put money, affirmative action, to bring one gender to school and leave out the other, it is just not bad, but it is evil. Outright evil.
Why is that happening?
Now I will tell you why. I will tell you why.
We do not have a woman president, by the way, so that we should say she is trying to, uplift a certain gender or her gender. Why is this happening?
I will tell you why.
Women are forever fighting even to get to those.
It's fine. I will tell you what is happening in this country. A lot of men, and this is something that I always say, a lot of men, if you look at our political scenarios, if you look at boardrooms, majority of those people are men. You agree?
Yes.
And I will tell you, majority of them, they are not there by merit. They are there because they were beneficiaries of a bad system that discriminated girls and women. Majority of them are beneficiaries of that rotten system. And now what they do, no, they are not. When I didn't have to, my father would have decided, you don't go to school because you'll get married, let me take your brother to school. All those people, majority of those people, they are not there by merit. So even reasoning ni ngumu. And you know why? They feel that they have a right to be there. And because when they look around, they are seeing 90%, 80% of us are men, it is only logical for us to put policies and laws to bring the women. You understand? And I once told someone on Facebook, the fact that give you a right to suppress and discriminate your son. Your son was not there and he does not have to pay for the mistake your father, your grandfather did. You understand what I'm saying?
I am surprised that they are not there by merit. Is it no wonder the policies are just there to favor the girl and it's not
majority of them are there. And it doesn't mean, and it's good to say this, it doesn't mean that even the women who are there, majority of them are there by merit. Remember, when you put a document, you understand, to favor you and discriminate me, you get there before me does not mean you have a right to be there.
What is the problem, Kiarie, that the boy child is being looked down upon like this?
One, I think there is something which Rosemary mentioned at the start. I think the male figure, the mentorship, male figure. We grew up in a system where we had our father, our uncle. In school, there was a discipline teacher. There was a male teacher in school. And number 4, we had a society where the father's presence in the house was recognized. In fact, in many African households, kulikuwa na kiti ya daddy.
Yes, and no one would sit there.
And no one would sit there. You know, ilikuwa kiti ya daddy.
Yes.
The same way, discipline. If ungeshinda mama yako, your mother would just say, ngoja baba yako akuje, I will tell your daddy. And that would spread fear. Some of us almost became albinos just by being told that. Now, that's one. Number 2, we grew up in a place where before initiation, a lot of us were taken through some sort of cultural guidance. In fact, there was a whole 1 week before, and even after that, during the recovery time and all, we were being put where we learned culture, where suddenly,
like a whole month.
Where suddenly we were told, you used to behave like this.
Yes.
Now you have passed through initiation. Now this you expected to behave.
Yes.
Sitaki kukuona unakaa na kina fulani. Or now, I know you had started to swag, Gina, whatever. No, you need to, there was some moral. So those gaps, they were at least society checks. When we went to high school, we used to have secondary. That's when you are all fighting adolescence and puberty and hot blood. And one of the things we used to be told is, to the girls' school, because most boys' schools had their girls' schools, and used to be told, when you go to the girls' school, you needed to take care of the girls when you went for those big drama festivals, those music festivals. There was some sort of responsibility and feeling achieved that so much so, mpaka, those who went to boarding schools and all, they were actually being told, you escort certain teachers to their quarters. That is a 14-year-old boy being told to escort
40-year-old
some 40-year-old teacher, and that ingrained some sort of responsibility.
True.
Fast forward to today, the Kababa generation. Kababa generation, the initiation period died. Unless nowadays hospitally, it's a start-stop, Besasita, he's back on Netflix and WhatsApp. That done. Okay? Number 2, the church tried. The religious institutions.
Even before you get there, Kiarie, what happened that there was no continuation? Did those fathers die?
No.
And these ones that were taught, why could they, carry on this generation?
3 things. The greatest thing that happened was the rural-urban migration. The rural-urban migration, because remember back then, the government was the single largest employer. Remember, a lot of people were employed by the government.
Yes.
So, and the government had very, it was very set. Everybody used to work at 8, 4:30, Saturday. So even holidays, that it used to work. Then number 2, we used to have everyone had to go and visit their grandmothers. And it was more of said, whether it was rural, urban, or urban, rural. So it was then after Christmas. So those things, they died because of the rural urban. Number 3, economics. When now, the structure, in the mid-90s, there was something called structural adjustment program. That is when the civil servants started being reduced, the private, some of the companies started entrenching. Those are the first days Kenya Post and Telecommunication was split. Very many things started to happen. Along that time, the economic hardships, there was some crunch somewhere. So in the crunch and trying to survive, rent, na bills, na nini, some of the values started dropping. Some of them are what Rosemary is saying they're feeling today.
Yes. Rosemary, when the boys, now you got the interest and started the African Boy Child Network. So what is your major area of interests? Are you into restoring the boy child to be the man that he should be? Or what exactly are you doing? Because when I listen to Kiare, true, a lot of things have been lost, which is not their problem. It is not their making. They have found themselves in this space where the expectation of the society is the same. I mean, men, you still have to be the provider. Protection is still on you. You are the one who still needs to pay rent. And no one is talking about empowering you. So naturally, there is that expectation on your shoulder, on your head. A guide, a mentor, what to do, and everything is just here. It's just for you to manage. You have no mentor. What exactly is happening at your
What happens, like how I started, we actually just pursue to kind of restore. One of the things that we do is just restore optimism, because a lot of them have lost it.
I know.
It is unfortunate that people don't even realize a lot of young people, specific boy child, they no longer care. They don't. And when someone does not care, you are at risk. He's not at risk.
Yes.
You
yes,
who cares,
yes.
You are at risk. So what we do is that, like I said, it's a full cycle. One of the things that we really love to do is advocacy. And we do three things. We highlight issues. We can tell you what is happening, where and how.
Okay.
Matters boy, child, and men. After highlighting, we enlighten society. I am happy that the conversation of boy, child is coming up. The fact that you decided that you're going to dedicate this month to boy, child, it means guys on the ground are doing what they're supposed to do.
Oh.
Yes.
Sounds good.
We calls from people. We need you to come here to these women. We need, and whenever you go, because I'll be honest with you, parents of boys are in catch-22. They don't know what to do with their sons. Ukiangalia gazeti, women are encouraged to apply. It is, even parents themselves are now feeling the heat. And you do not want to have a 35-year-old man in your house.
And you know that's what is happening.
Yes.
We have 25-year-olds sharing a roof with their mom.
Yes, and that is very dangerous.
And they're asking you for money to shave even their beards.
Exactly. So that should give you a sign that it's just a matter of time. That guy is something that is waiting. So we highlight, we enlighten, and where we mobilize. The reason why we highlight these things, enlighten people, is because the problem of the boy child, a lot of people right now think ni shida ya mababa zao. You will never hear me talk about the men have refused to take responsibility. Those are things you never say. Never. Never. And you know why? If these guys are sick, I don't expect someone who is sick to take care of another person. He needs to heal first. He needs to find himself.
Yes. It's just a time bomb.
Yes.
I wonder how they're going to come back to shape without violence.
Now, that is what I'm saying. The problem of the boy child, this society needs to realize it is not the problem of the boy child. It is my problem and your problem.
Because that is where they're going to come to hit.
That is where the vulnerability will come into play. If 10 boys walked in here, it doesn't matter how many we are. You understand? So we do advocacy. Once the society acknowledges that there is a problem, which they have. In 2016, National Gender and Equity Commission did a report. And I always say this. Because I say, what I do it because I love it. Because I feel a certain level of fulfillment. It doesn't matter what I say. It is what I feel and I'll say. They did a report in 2016. I wish you get time, you go through that report. And they are saying, perception, crisis of the boy child, and they've used the word perception on the title of the book. You and me know what perception is. It might not necessarily be true. You understand? But inside the book, as you read, Kenyans, 92% of Kenyans feel the boy child is lagging behind.
And I agree. That is why
and that is what they are calling
this
a perception. And it has recommendations for both the national government and for county government.
It may be perception, but it could also be the reality on the ground.
Exactly. So when you when you have recommendation, you've done recommendation for both the national government and the county government on what they are supposed to do. Because they even have factors. They've even put factors that leading to the boy child being left behind. And a lot of them, policies, mentorship, all those things are put there. The dysfunctional families, they've broken all of them down. I want to ask you, you're a media personality. From 2016, we're in 2021. Have you heard anything? Government imesimama imesema, we have something for the boy child. Have you heard?
Kazi mtaani.
Have you heard? So it therefore means
said kazi mtaani.
By the way, I want you to look at statistics, even for that kazi mtaani. Even if you're driving around, when you wanatoa maji na uchafu kwa mtaro, utapata are the boys. When you wanafagia, look at the numbers of all the young people who've been incorporated kazi mtaani. I will tell you for free. Almost 70% are girls na nikufagia. Ile ngumu ya mtaro na ya nini, those are the boys. So what I'm trying to say is this. Yeah? That people are a bit slow on acknowledging the truth.
It's because nature and culture has trained them
It
that
has
way.
nothing to do.
Because
it is a choice, my dear. It is a choice.
Would you be comfortable? We talked about kulipa fare.
Yeah.
Would you be comfortable kulipiwa fare, rent? Would you be comfortable the woman you live with is taking care of all these basics that you are naturally wired until a certain point? Yeah. Would you be comfortable to be in that space as a boy child?
Now, let me paraphrase that so that I answer your question with a question. One, we happened to be with Rosemary we were invited in the Catholic Church. There's a program they're starting. It's called Beacon of Hope. Beacon of Hope is a program about boys who are no longer in the church service. Okay? Because
Wonder where they are.
Yeah, so I want to get to that. You see, because one, there's a whole generation of 16 to 35 who are not in the church. They are not in the youth. They are not serving in the committee. They are not in the wazee, whatever. So much so until now, they are starting a specific program targeted to boys. Now, hold that thought. Now, the Bible. I want to be the preacher before our conference. Now, we have had various examples. I give you 4 quick ones. Samson and Delilah.
Yes.
Samson was strong. Samson was mighty. Delilah is the one who was said to have finished him. We had David. David was a man, a chosen servant of God. And the Bible says he saw Bathsheba taking a shower somewhere in a balcony. His heart paragasha. So the rest, history went down the drain, repented, whatever. We even have Joseph, who was incarcerated in the committee prison in Egypt those days, and the Potiphar's wife. What am I getting to? I want to get to that point of Rosemary saying it's not a vacuum.
Yes.
It's not a vacuum. There are roles and whatever. And most people say there are some women who have not taken care of their husbands. Because society expects the man not having a sustainable income to remain the provider. That is where I'm coming to. And that is part of your question. Now, this man who is suddenly being driven to become a provider, more often than not, the pressures started to build up because society perceives him as the head of the family, as the person whose kids are not going to school. And now the wife is sitting pretty saying that is the role of the
man.
Now, when roles changed, and I tell you how roles changed. Rosemary mentioned that women now, they're in corporate boardroom. Women now are plumbers. Women now, are
the pilots.
The pilots, whatever. For the old times, you remember, you as a woman, you could not get a passport without your husband's signature. That much I know. That's mine. You see, so those roles that were changed that allowed women to get to that, they were also not changed to allow man to also change with the times. So man still remained, was given the tag that you are the provider. Now, those are the conflict areas where unless now hid, you will still continue seeing many more boys in a political rally on a Tuesday at 9 a.m. wamejaza Uhuru Park.
And the girls are working.
The girls are working.
We are actually getting out of time, yet we still have a lot of things to talk about. But Rosemary, there is a lot of pressure on the boy child. And I'm not sure if you are working to consolidate things and just make sure that all is fine. But looking at the pressure, it is too much that is taking away life. You mentioned the blue pill.
Yes.
There's so much pressure on the boy to perform, to provide, to protect. What are you doing exactly to make sure that this boy is fine? Even with the pressure, he's still doing what he must do. Because I think we have to get to a place where we now redefine the roles of the boy child in the society and forget about the perceptions.
I think for us, we've been very strong in terms of trying to pursue or propel true equity and equality. We believe that having conversations of every child has a right to go to school. Underline the word child. Every child has a right to go to school. Every person has a right to thrive in politics without necessarily tagging into a equity literature. Statements like gender-based violence should be condemned regardless of gender. You know those you see those kind of statements. Those are the statements we're supposed to push. Remember, whenever I wake up in the morning and on radio and on TV, I'm seeing everything women and girls. By human nature, if I'm a man or a boy, I go down. You understand? So the conversation should start changing, that every girl should go to school. You understand? Then we should actually come into a place where we say that the environment we live in, most of us, is almost the same. Whatever the boy child is going through, though different, is what the girl child is going through, though different. So when it comes to a point where all of them go to school and they are done with their Form 4, only for discrimination to start from here, then it doesn't make sense where the boy child went to school in the first place. We've done a lot of advocacy in school and they're like, tukimaliza tunaenda. Una understand? Una understand? They also realize that, and Kerry mentioned this, there are more than 5 banks in this country who have special money, budgets, to empower women in business. You understand? Yes. We have a government that takes tax from everyone and uses a portion of that tax to empower one gender. That is robbery.
Great discrimination.
You understand? We have so many non-governmental organizations that have billions of money to empower one particular gender.
I know that the mothers of sons are really happy to hear the way you are taking this conversation. But I am really into who is gonna bring up this boy child. Are we going to wait until all these policies have been pushed to that level? And I'm wondering by who, because people have been here, the government has been here, and all these things, all these organizations are being formed just for the girl. I'm wondering who is gonna do this. So the mothers of the sons are really happy to hear the way Rosemary is driving this, because she's really concerned about the boy. But the boy himself, who is already like in danger and maybe not out of danger, you know, how are they going to help themselves to now change their mindset?
Say something. Just a minute.
No.
We have a lot of kids that are out of employment. In majority out of school and out of employment. There was actually a research done 2 years ago. Massive. So I will tell you, there are a lot of programs, and this is part of what we do with Kiari. There are a lot of programs that the government has for young people. A lot of them. I'm very strong in TVET. Yeah? There's so much going on up there, and kids down here don't even know. You understand? Yeah? Kids here do not know. How do we make it our business?
Yes, yes, to push it down to them.
We bring that information. It's just like a week ago or 2 weeks ago,
2 weeks
where
ago.
I live, I have 40 boys, only 3 are below 18 years, and only about 7 are. And I do a lot of information mainstreaming for them. We have so many everywhere, all legally registered.
Please carry on.
You understand?
Carry on. Somebody
Now
will
it
just
goes,
get help.
Exactly.
Yes, carry on. Kiari, we are actually out of time. But I wonder how, Rosemary has explained how the boy child is going to get this information and also be able to change their mindset. Because with all these narratives around, I actually agree that it's possible to just get suppressed and suppressed even more and more and never get up. Because when you try to check around, everything is on the girl. When you look at the prison and you find just the boys, you think that is also your next destination. You look at the streets, those people who are saying haki yetu, you know, oh, this is where boys are. And you never find girls there. So you look at the offices, you find it's all girls. So the boy is seemingly losing it. I don't want to say they have lost it, but it is good that Rosemary is here to push up that agenda. Are they able to change their mindset even after this narrative and perception of the society?
Yes, yes. And I will say this because we have worked closely for Region Africa Boy Child Network. I can tell you, as we use the language, their language is sports. The language and the platform and the glue that brings them together is sports. And I will tell you, through sports, they have been able now to start now getting, you know, it's a platform where you have continuous engagement. Number 2, there's something very important which I want to belabor her point. Resource centers. A lot of these young boys you find, the reason why they seemingly look lost, they just lack resource. They just lack information flow. In fact, a lot of this Uwezo Fund, Youth Enterprise Fund, Ajira Program, and many others, they are very good platform. If only we have a continuously engagement downstairs, down to them. Last but not least, is how thus the society be split into pillars. I want to bring in the religious aspect here now. Spirituality. All of us grew up going to Sunday school. It was default. Okay?
True.
And religion and the interfaith also contribute to the well-being of men. For the longest time, when religion was strong, when all of us go to Sunday school, then we did the youth ministry in church, we became cadets.
Then there was morality.
We did those drama festivals in school, even in churches, yes. Bethlehem and all. Okay, of course, okay, then I was Joseph. Then the point is, there was a sense of morality. It grew up spiritually. Last but not least is then the pillar of Nyumba Kumi. Nyumba Kumi means the communal leadership for the longest time has been taken by elders. Those were there. It's time to let the boys down here take the baton, take also the leadership within a community engagement.
Wow.
That will sort.
Your last words, Rosemary. We are out of time.
I think for me is, I always say whenever I go to interviews, hapa boy child hatutoki.
Okay.
Wow.
Hatutoki. So boy child, those mamas who are keeping their boy child at home, wawatoe, Kiari ako nao kwa sports. You have plans for them.
For sports.
If they do not gather, they cannot know what's going on.
Yes.
Okay, so they had better get out of where they're hidden.
Yes.
They get out of the road and the hakietu. I wonder who will get them out of the prison. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Rosemary. This has been a really good time. You have informed us a lot, and I'm surprised by the statistics, by the way. Thank you, viewer. This has really been good. I hope you are watching and you have learned a lot even from this conversation. Keep it here. This whole month we'll be talking about the boy child. My name is Betty. I have been your host. See you next time.